Okay, so we have our render done now in cycles without the depth of field. We added our background, it's only at 0.1, so it probably made a negligible difference. We also decreased the lighting of the lamps to 100. So if you compare it as I have uploaded it here, compare it to this one even. So if you compare it, except for the depth of field, I think the lighting is decreased, and I think I actually like the lighting a bit better in this one, or like this one. Sorry, the lighting is more like this one. This is with 200, this is with 100, and this is with 100. Or maybe I can keep this and increase the HDRI to something like 0.3 and then compare them side by side. We do have the same angle and everything, and we don't really change anything, to be honest. So let's go ahead and not worry about this right now. Just move this to 0.3, see if actually 0.4, see if that makes a difference in our next render, which we will be adding. But for now, let me go ahead and add in our two image as planes, the two leaves that we downloaded, 1 and 2. Import of these. I'm going to use these as a particle system so that we can scatter them all across the floor. Now we're going to be scattering them on 2 of the planes. One is of the road and one is of the actual ground, the pavement, the sidewalk. We could make a separate whole plane actually and use it as one, but it'll be less accurate and it'll just have to make another whole plane. And I guess it doesn't really matter because the particle system is going to be used on either one, same amount of particles and same amount of the scene being used. So let's go ahead and use these on a particle system that we can just run on. I think just this one is enough, and actually yeah, just this one is enough. Let me go ahead and add a particle system, a hair particle system with just, let's go for 2 right now, and change the render as the object and object as, we're gonna have to make this into a new collection called leaves, and then we can add the collection called leaves to our render. Scale them as 0.1 is fine. Let's see where our leaves are at now. There are only 2 leaves, so can't see that right now. Let's go to 50. And the size is probably way too less. Okay, now we do need them to lie flat. So it's good if we just rotated these to lie flat. Oh, it's not gonna work. You don't want to work for us, huh? Let's go to advanced, go to rotation, and use, wait, there's another one. Use object rotation here. And let's go ahead and we could set this to none, so they're just on the floor. They are really thin though. And I do want to give them some kind of none is fine, to be honest, and this will only work if I use global X. Yeah, so we don't need any of this shit. We can just go with this, and that's enough actually if you want to scatter it on the whole ground. But I'm gonna set it to only use a certain vertex group, the vertex group that we can see. Actually, it's fine, I guess. It's not that much. We'll keep this for now. Let's go ahead and move these a little higher. Let's see if we can go ahead and extrude these a little bit, just so they're more double-sided, I'd say. Does that look any better? It doesn't really, but I also need to shift the okay, where is it? Cursor to selection. Yeah, let's just go here, cursor to selection and object, set region to 3D cursor, so it's moved down a bit. Now if we look at our plane, they are on top. Are they? Or are they not? Let me go ahead and give this a few subdivisions, just so we can move these up a bit and give it a little bit of an effect. Maybe. Doesn't matter if it's as perfect or not. We'll just decrease the size to, let's see, 0.2. Is that the size of a leaf, do you think? Still too big for a leaf. 0.1 is about right. And increase the number to about 100. Oops, 100. Now we don't see any over here in which our scene is actually set on. And to be honest, this angle doesn't look as appealing as our last angle, even though we can see all the other things really well. So let me go ahead and add the particle system to this part too. Just this part, oops. Okay, let me go ahead and add the particle system here and add the same one. The same one that we had. And just set these vertex groups and just assign these and go to our field weights, vertex groups and density to the group. Now it is taking effect with all these as well, I'd say. Doesn't matter that much. Maybe we can remove these from the vertex group. I guess that could work. Select. Remove these two. Now we have them all over here in our scene and in the area, which is fine. And I might actually want to increase the particle count on this to, actually no, it's, don't want too many, right? Now we do need the layer of dust and stuff on top of this. So if we go to rendered view, and if we go ahead and select our path, and on the diffuse we need to mix in another noise. Not even a noise, I'd say. What is this? That looks super cool, whatever it is. It's the world settings. Okay, so we need to mix in the base color of 1 and 2 of the base colors. So let's go ahead and add a, I want to say noise texture. I just want to look at this right now. This is way too much, and I need to scale this up. Detail should be more, roughness low, and put in a color ramp just so we can see this a bit better. Now let's go and the detail isn't doing much. Okay, we can't see this. Okay, let me add this mapping node so we can get this on our UVs. That's better. Ooh, this is nice. But no, we don't need this. We need this on 0, and we need to crunch these up. Let's see. We need white spots. So these are the white spots that we have. Small white spots everywhere, and increase the scale. Or do I just decrease the scale? No, definitely 2000 scale. Way too many, maybe 1000 scale. And this is 1.25, 0.27. Let's go ahead and decrease this a bit more. That's the best we can do, I guess. Now we need to add this to this. So let's go ahead and mix these two up. Mix RGBs. Mix this one in with this one and see what we get. Now let's go ahead and add these. Let's see, add versus mix. Add is fine, although it does give us a darker look as compared to this. This is the same. With mix it gets a bit darker. Let's keep it on add, and we could change it a bit, maybe have it like this, not so strong. I do want to add in the factor. I'm going to duplicate this and duplicate this over here and move this down and use this as the factor to control our factor. Now this will only be like 10. Let's see. Oops, I forgot to duplicate this as well. UVs. And color ramp. So now if we look at this, this is where our dots will show and will not show. Interesting. Let's go to 50 and we'll show some here, and it won't look as robotic, I'd say. See, you can see these bits missing. Actually, let me scale this up a bit. This is still too much. I'd say 10 is fine. Maybe a bit more. And definitely this faded out a bit more. Let's see. Yeah, that looks okay. Let's go ahead and check how it looks with these white spots on. Maybe I'll clamp it. Doesn't really matter. And I guess that looks a lot better in some spaces. And maybe this is a bit too much, so let me go ahead and add this to this, so we can now see this with everything added on, the bumps, the textures, everything. And I might want to decrease the spots get bigger. Let's see, like if I go to 500, the spots get way too big, but they spread out as well. And if I go, not bad, but if I go to something like 2000, they come closer and there are way too many. Let's say somewhere in between 750 would look good. 750 looks decent-ish. And maybe if I increase scale of this from 35 to like 200, we have a more scattered effect. What, 500, 1000, nope, 100, 200, 50, 100 is like the sweet spot, I'd say. That looks fine. Oh, there is a bit of an overlap here, so let me go ahead and change that a bit. It's weird. Why are they always overlapping? All of them are? That can't be right. Maybe they're too close or something, I don't know. Oh well, this looks good. And also I want to change the texture on, maybe I should add this to the roughness too. So this this should be duplicated. Oops. I need to add this to the roughness channel that we had, so that these parts, actually no, let's not get into so much detail. We could, so that these parts are less rough by then. I figured maybe, no. Now this, on the other hand, we can get the roughness decreased because it is going to be a wet texture, but also I don't want it to be too wet, I'd say. Now let's see what this has for us. Way too much. What is wrong with this? I don't know what's wrong with this, but oh well. This is how our roughness looks. Way too much. Way too much. Make this black. I'll just make this white. Make this whitish. That's fine. I'll just copy this to this as well. Doesn't really matter. Just for a little bit of the effect. That's fine. Let's save it. Now we have our leaves. We have our spots. We have our leaves. We have our spots. We have our HDRI. We just have the buildings left, I guess. It's probably going to be the hardest part, to be honest. Might not even do the building grunge. I'll probably just add the lights and neon signs. But let's go ahead and give this a quick test render after saving it. Let's see, and we increase the HDRI a bit before. Let's go ahead and render. Okay, so we have our render right now, and without any depth of field, and we did increase our background from 0.2, was it, or 0.1 to 0.4, and that's way too much. And I realized that our other render, where is it? This one was 200 on our lamps, and this one was 100 on our lamps, and this one was increased in background. So this one doesn't look as good as this one, because, or this one even, because they're just too, it looks too much like a daytime environment, and simply going for a nighttime environment, I figured the best course of action would be to keep it at an all-time low, maybe 0.1 as it was before in this image, and increase our lamps, our point lights, back to 200. So we have this nice not ambient lighting, but point lighting at different areas in the scene. Secondly, I was thinking, since we're going to be adding different neon lights and signposts and stuff for the different kinds of shops and everything, those are going to be emitting light as well, and that will cause our scene to have even more light, which will actually be reflected on the ground and all in the puddles and everything. So we don't really need this HDRI. We don't need such a strong HDRI. We could actually even turn this down to 0 maybe, but 0.1 is fine for a little bit of the reflections. So anyway, going back to our scene, what we need to add now is our signs, and let me just make the changes to our point lights. We've already made the changes to our background world lighting setting HDRI thing. With this loads, then we can go ahead. I can't really see any of the leaves or the dots, come to think of it. Not sure they're visible from this angle, or I really like the angle, I just can't see the puddles. And this angle is so bad, especially because it's not bringing anything in focus. If I want to keep this kind of an angle, it would be better if I actually went for the focal length like at 32 or 28 maybe. So we can see all these dots, and I think I will go back to my render, and we can see these little dots here, which I don't think I can see in my render. For some reason it might not be rendering, I take it, but I'll go fix that in a minute. Right now I think I'm gonna go ahead and change these lights to 200, although 100 is fine. Maybe 150 with the neon lights. And HDRI is down. Added these things, these leaves and stuff. What I need to do now is apart from that, I think I will go ahead and fix the lighting in the area of this. Actually, I'll do that right at the end. Right now we have this scene and it looks pretty good.